Hey guys, welcome to Gizmo Times. This is Chetan and this is the speed test comparison of two POCO smartphones, the two mid-range smartphones from POCO, the one that was recently launched, the POCO X3 versus the POCO M2 Pro. The M2 Pro was also recently launched and it did come with some of the good specs, including a very good Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor, and this particular chipset actually offers you decent performance in terms of CPU. But how does it actually matter, and how much does it change when you talk about gaming? Let's talk about that later in the video. For now, let me show you the settings here, and the POCO M2 Pro is going to soon get the MIUI 12 update. For now it is still on MIUI 11, but the update is rolling out. That's what we have heard. The MIUI 12 is present on this one, so we'll also see how differently they are optimized. And the variants that we have here are 6 plus 64 here, and on the other side, if we check out here, yeah, 6 plus 64, and this one is 6 plus 128. So that's the variants here. And now we'll first do a reboot test to show you which one actually boots up faster. MIUI 12 with Qualcomm Snapdragon 732G with the MIUI 11 and Snapdragon 720G. Let's now restart both of them together. So as you can see here, it's already started on the POCO X3 with the MIUI 12, while the POCO M2 Pro still is yet to go to the home screen, and it's taking quite long. I mean, it's almost like 7 to 8 seconds of a difference between the two devices, and now we finally see the home screen here. And next we'll talk about the benchmarks here. The benchmarks usually don't really matter, but we still show you some benchmarks because what happens is with benchmarks you at least get to know the core performance of the devices. And here the POCO X3 has a better score in terms of the GPU by almost 8,000 points, while on the other side the CPU is just a little better on this one. And yeah, you can see that the storage here is high, so because of that the score does change, but this was done before the storage was filled, obviously. So these are some old scores that you see there. Yeah, so now we are on the same network on the two devices, and now we'll first start with the Pubg Mobile opening, obviously, to see which one actually loads up the game faster. So clearly here about a couple of seconds or 2 to 3 seconds of difference between the POCO M2 Pro and the POCO X3, the M2 Pro. And in fact, that's what we've been seeing on the other phones as well. That's the Realme 7 and the 7 Pro. The CPU being better loads up larger apps faster. That's what we have seen so far. If you haven't checked out those speed test comparisons, you can go and check out the Realme 7 and the 7 Pro speed test with the POCO X3. Now let's start Geekbench here. And the POCO X3 actually loaded that app faster. Now opening Asphalt 8. So here again, this is a large application, and you can see that the POCO M2 Pro loaded the game faster. Now with Facebook, it's almost the same here. And the next one, Twitter, where the POCO M2 Pro loaded the game app faster. Now going to the next one, YouTube. In fact, here as well you can see the POCO M2 Pro to be a bit faster in loading the app. Now next on Amazon as well. Amazon as well is loaded faster on the POCO M2 Pro. Next moving on to the Prime Video. And here you can see that again the POCO M2 Pro, consistently we are seeing the POCO M2 Pro to do better in terms of loading these applications and everything. Now if we go into the settings of this one, the best of video that you see here is 2.35 GB, so you are getting full HD support on both these devices. Now opening Netflix in the end, so let's see here. Here a bit faster on the POCO X3, but in most of the application, majority of the applications, the large ones as well as the smaller ones, we saw the POCO M2 Pro to load these games faster. And now if we open a website here, so now we have the website opened here. Let me go and show you the refresh rate that we have on both the smartphones. One of the big difference here is that the refresh rate on the POCO X3 is 120 Hz, while you don't have the same on the POCO M2 Pro, which is at 60 Hertz. So now refresh rate, we have set it at 120 Hertz, and you won't have the option at all for the refresh rate here because you can't change it. It's just 60 Hertz. Now going into the website now, let me scroll here, and now if you go into the swiping of it, you can see that the smoothness is much better on the POCO X3. Well, it's not the same on the POCO M2 Pro. It's a bit dragging, and that's what the case is. If you are a regular user of a 60 Hz smartphone, you won't really see that difference, but for someone who has tried out a faster refresh rate, you know the difference here. So the smoothness you can clearly see here. I'm shaking both at the same time, but it's much smoother on the POCO X3. So that's one difference here. Obviously with 120 Hz you're going to see that difference, and that is one advantage that you see there. Now with PUBG Mobile, if you open the app once again, you'll see the app running in the background without any issue. So that's a good thing. With the 6 GB of RAM, with so many applications running in the background, there was no issue at all. Now if we go into the settings of both the smartphones, if you see here under settings, you have the same graphic options available on both the devices. You have Smooth and Ultra on the POCO M2 Pro, and you have Smooth and Ultra on the POCO X3 as well. So that's another good thing. So you're getting almost the same kind of a performance for gaming. Though frankly, for now, what we have played so far, I felt that the POCO X3 still needs quite a lot of optimization because the Snapdragon 732G is not fully optimized for games such as PUBG Mobile, and there were some major frame drops and lags happening, which was not the case with the POCO M2 Pro or even with any smartphone with Snapdragon 720G. It was doing quite well there. But here we will see with the coming days, I guess the Snapdragon 732G might be getting a better update and get more optimized for gaming. For now, it's not really that smooth as much as we expect it to be. I would say if you are considering the day-to-day usage, there is no real big difference. Those app opening speeds and everything, they do matter for heavy users, but for regular users it doesn't really matter, except for the fact that the POCO X3 has a 120 Hz refresh rate, and that does matter. That actually matters. But there's one difference here as well, guys. The POCO M2 Pro has a 5000 mAh battery, the POCO X3 has a 6000 mAh battery, and while you also see the larger battery being present here, if you are an avid user who uses your phone for a few hours every day very easily, the 120 Hz refresh rate is going to drain more battery than what the 60 Hz refresh rate would drain there. So that's one more difference between these two smartphones. And that's it, guys. This was the speed test comparison of the POCO X3 and the POCO M2 Pro smartphones. If you have any other doubt, you can ask us in the comment section below. I'll try to answer that. And I hope you like this video. If you do share and subscribe to Gizmo Times for more. Thanks for watching, and see you next video.